know the drill for our meditation service. If you are tuning in live right now, streaming from your home, or maybe you're on vacation somewhere wonderful, I'm going to welcome you to our Soul Center meditation service. For those of you who are here, I'm going to invite you to go ahead and make sure that all cellular devices are either in meditation mode, also known as airplane mode, or off, whatever feels right and good to you. For those of you streaming in live, you might want to just put your device on Do Not Disturb, and that way a call won't ring through. And then we're also going to just go over the general guidelines that you've heard me say 100 times already. But meditation is communion with spirit. No matter what tradition, no matter what the lineage, it is always about communing with your soul, communing with spirit, and it is the dissolution, the evaporation, the dissolving of attachments to the temporal world, to space and time, and returning to that eternal frequency. That's why we let go of thoughts. 99.9% of thoughts are attached to definitions, and a definition takes place in space and time. When you move into an awareness that is transcendent to thought, you can have a knowingness, a wisdom, even an awareness, but no attachment. So we're going to do the best to allow ourselves to move into that space. And of course, there are all the different types of meditation, from activation, inquiry, mantra, movement, which are different ways of accessing or participating in divine expression. In our practice this morning, and as always, we will be started with a centering. The centering is just what allows us to move into that space where we can let go of attachments, and then we will stay in the stillness. We'll stay in the stillness for a little while, and then we'll come back into a wave of prayer. Most of you know that we are what we consider a trans-denominational community, which means that we allow ourselves to go beyond the dogmas of certain denominations and move into what all of them point to, which is the divine. And so that being said, we invite that you have a personal experience with the divine in and as your life. One of the biggest, observations in most people's meditation practice is that sometimes thoughts come in, little wayward, wandering thoughts might fly by as to what's going on, when will this be over, what am I going to have for breakfast or brunch, lunch or dinner, what about so-and-so, what was that noise I heard outside? Whatever those things are, to the best of our abilities, A, if you set the intention ahead of time, I will not be distracted, it makes a huge difference. And B, the intention, I'm going to have the most deep, delicious, expanding, healing, revealing experience of meditation, better than ever before. Those are some of the intentions, and if you do have a thought, you just let it pass on by. Just don't attach to it to the best of your ability. And again, as always, you're welcome to do this as an open-eyed meditation. If anybody ever chooses to do that, you're just going to want to find one singular point to focus on, and don't let your eyes wander, because if they do, your mind will wander. And otherwise, as probably about 98 to 99% of us will do, we'll close the outer eyes, we'll open the inner eye, and with that, we are now ready to begin. Again, just making sure any cellular devices are in stillness mode or airplane mode. And we are ready. begin by first giving ourselves permission to relax. Just saying to ourselves in our minds, I give myself permission to relax. As we invite, as we evoke, and as we allow the divine energies of peace and love, beauty and goodness, wellness and joy to wash over us, to rise up from within us, knowing that our intention is full surrender to the divine nature of our eternal beingness. I invite you to bring your awareness to your heart center with the intention of allowing your heart to open, to blossom like a flower that is stretching its petals out as it greets the rays of the sun. We open our hearts in divine receptivity. I invite you to bring your awareness to your crown at the top of your head and allow it to open. Imagine your crown like the dome of an observatory that is wide open to gaze at the cosmos. And with an open heart and an open mind, I invite you to bring your awareness to the highest point of divinity that you can imagine. Allow yourself to feel the presence, whether we call it divine, God, the universe. We open to the omniamorous, omnipresence. And I invite you to imagine that you are breathing that energy in. And it makes its way in through your crown on the inhalation down into your heart. And as you exhale, you can feel it rise from your heart and release from your crown. As we bring our awareness to our breath with the intention of allowing it to become fuller, fresher, deeper, and wider, all on its own. We take a moment as we let go of the temporal world. We use the exhalation to release. On your next exhalation, I invite you to let go. To let go of any distractions, concerns, or tension. Simply allow it to rise up and release like a plume of steam, evaporating. On the next exhalation, we let go of. We let go of to-dos and what was. On the next exhalation, we let go of figuring and analyzing. And we let go of time, letting go of energetic projections to the future. And tethers to the present. As you begin to notice a phosphorescence of light that is not only rising up from within you as all the cells of your body begin to illuminate, but it is washing over us. And you can feel a contagion of relaxation, rejuvenation, and revelation, spreading throughout your entire energy body. The inhalation ceaselessly drawing in the eternal vibration and the energy of your soul. We can feel the exhalation, now in sync. And both are simultaneously fanning the internal, eternal flame, radiating throughout your entire physical body. You can feel the energy making its way into your toes and heels as the feet soften and illuminate with light. We can feel density evaporating as that energy rises into the ligaments, joints, and bones of your calves and knees. Sparkling, shimmering light as all the cells illuminate in your thighs and hamstrings. Rejuvenation, vitalizing every morsel and muscle as the hips and root all open. And you can feel that light as luminosity and weightlessness rising into your lower back and lower belly. From the intestines to the stomach, the spinal column, shimmering light, flooding the core, ease, freedom, spaciousness, beauty rising from your heart to your shoulders. You can feel your arms from your fingertips to your elbows to the shoulders, flooding with an effervescence of vitality. And we begin to feel the energy making its way into our throat and neck, scalp and cheeks. You can feel the attuning as the inner ear fully awakens. As the inner eye opens. And as the higher mind overwhelms us with peace, clarity, and wisdom. You can feel the eternal light of the soul fully illuminating your physical emotional, mental bodies. And you feel its nature. Bliss, peace, serenity. And it is here, in the bliss body, that we allow ourselves to be fully enveloped with the energy of our true identity, our eternal light, the divine as you, as me. And we simply rest, rejuvenate, and relax in the stillness. With the greatest state of divine receptivity. As we bring our awareness to our heart, allowing it to open and stretch and expand. As you feel that inhalation coming in from your soul through your crown into your heart. I invite you to once again feel the energy of your true nature, your eternal identity. Feel the omnipresence of all good, all love, radiant wellness, peace, and joy. We take a moment and in this space of divine receptivity, availability, we choose to expand vitality throughout our physicality, to expand clarity, optimism, and faith, to expand joy, peace, harmony. We allow the eternal frequencies to flood and fill and thrill every aspect of our beingness, recognizing, remembering that there is one great, grand, and glorious intelligence, power that is omniamorous, all-loving, that which we call the universe, the one, the creator, the magnificence of life itself, seeking to burgeon itself, know itself, express itself, love itself, to, through, and as each and every one of us. We open to this, the great knowing that we are each one of us, born from the holy heart, the holy mind of God Almighty. The Almighty within you, that is not boastful, that is pure and humble. And the same power of creation that created every star, every galaxy, every organism, every tree that blooms, every flower. That energy of peaceful glory and creation resides within us. We return to the beginning. We allow the eternal to flow and glow itself. I invite you to bring your awareness down to the south pole of your energy field. If you were standing, you'd notice about a meter, maybe 3, 4, 5 feet beneath the bottoms of your feet, a beautiful starburst of light. Our 10th chakra, the Earth star that we, each and every one of us, we ground to our own Earth star, heaven on earth, peace, love, joy, wellness, goodness, beauty, self-love, prosperity, as we remember the truth. The universe is all giving, all loving, all nurturing. We anchor that. And with full faith and full trust and full optimism, we say yes to the greatest and grandest vision and version, knowing something wonderful has taken place just by relaxing, by being still and knowing that I am. As we ground that energy, maybe feel it tingle down through your legs and feet, all the way as though it's entering the fertile soil of Mother Earth. And the only trajectory is to bear the fruits of goodness, the blossoms of beauty. We say yes to that as our lives. It is from that place of deep thanksgiving and knowing that we all share a destiny of heaven on earth as our lives. We simply agree to allow it all to be by saying, and so it is. Amen. And as we come back into a lucid state of divine awareness, whenever you feel ready, you don't have to now, but if you want to, you can open your eyes. The lights have come up in here if you're streaming in live at home. This concludes our meditation service. We're going to start our music and our message in about 4.5 minutes. So if you need to take a break, use the restroom, powder your nose, whatever it may be, this will be the time, and we will be back and resume our service in just a few minutes.
But it was wonderful. Oh, you do pretty eyes, don't you?
Break out of the mold. Can I sit there, honey?
Yes, you can.
morning, Soul Center. Good morning. Good to see you all this morning. My name is Jessica Suselik, and I'm the co-founder of Soul Center OC with my mom, Patricia Griffith, who is our angel in heaven. And at Soul Center, we bring the teachings of Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith and the Agape International Spiritual Center and all truth teachers to Orange County as we gather each and every Sunday, as we gather through fellowship, as we gather through classes, meditation, and that's what we're doing right now. So let's stand, please, and say our Soul Center Declaration, knowing that it is absolutely true, word for word, for each and every one of us, and each and every one of you online, and all around the planet. There is one life. That life is God. That life is perfect. And that life is my life now. I am here to receive the divine message for me. I am awake. I am tapped in. And I am transformed. You may be seated. Today we have Jimmy Etherington in the house as our musical guest. Some of you may remember Jimmy from back in the olden days of Soul Center OC. He was one of our very first musical guests. So he's back. We're excited to have you, Jimmy. And of course, Brian and Jesse, very grateful. We have some wonderful announcements, including our next fellowship opportunity, which will be on July 30th after service at the beautiful Diana Delight's home. We're so grateful. We had a wonderful time for those of you who were there this past Sunday at Lynn's house for a fellowship opportunity, and they're excited to continue in that energy and be together. And this will be a potluck, so bring a dish and a beverage to share. I can tell you that the vegan and the vegetarian items tend to go quick, so that's always a good dish to bring. Diana has a pool that she's happy to have people go swimming. There's a little slide. Her home is really, really special, and it's got a really sacred spiritual energy, so I would encourage everybody to mark their calendars and look in the newsletter for details, but it'll be a really wonderful afternoon together, and we know we love to be in fellowship together, so please keep that on your calendar. And Rosa is doing the rest of our announcements.
Good morning. Hi. My name is Rosa. And just to remind you to keep your cell phones in meditation mode. The State of the Center is happening today. Join Reverend Keith and the rest of Soul Center Board of the Directors of the State of the Center. Presentation is today. Enjoy refreshments while learning about Soul Center history and vision, or road membership, fellowship, and more.
And Lynn is bringing the refreshments, and we know Lynn always brings the best refreshments, so please stay for those refreshments. And we need a few volunteers, if you would, right after service to help us flip the room. Hunter is going to be in charge of setting up the tables, but if we could have some help with the chairs, that would be wonderful, as we want to start our meeting at about 11:45, so we're trying to stay on schedule.
Reverend Keith Annual Summer Meditation Nature Retreat is this Thursday, Friday, July 13 and 14. We'll start in the desert with the minutes. We'll be on top of the mountains about Palm Springs. Enjoy meditation, fellowship, easy hiking in nature. Details and registration, check at soulcenteroc.com. I was in the retreat that we did in Ventura, and it was a great experience because you get to meet more people with fellowship, community. It's a great experience. Reverend Keith Daily Affirmative Prayer streams live at Soul Center Facebook page, Monday through Saturday at 9:30 a.m., except Sundays. A Course in Miracles with the Kitty Beckett is normally Tuesdays from 6 to 8 Pacific time. However, now it's being held from 6 to 8 p.m. on Thursday. Same Zoom link. It will be resumed Tuesday beginning July 25th through the year. The weekly newsletter, Stay Informed about all Soul Center events and news, sign up for the weekly newsletter at soulcenter.com. Volunteers. Have you ever volunteered?
A lot.
Yes.
A lot.
We need volunteers
Lifetime of volunteering.
to try. Check with Bridget at the front table and sign up. Soul Circles, join Soul Circles in person and grow together with others in community. Contact Scott. He's right here today. And I just want to say that how grateful I am to be part of this community and these teachings. And I want to share, if you have a minute, just a little story about myself. My story began about almost 2 years ago, having 3 knee surgeries and 5 MUAs and 2 hand surgeries. And I live alone, I don't have a lot of family. And I want to invite Mary Jane and Param to stand up because they were amazing. I didn't know what to do. God had a backup plan for me. I also wanted to say some Gina being there for me while I was going through all my problems. And Ross was the one who would take me to the hospital, pick me up all the time. If it wasn't for this community, I don't know if I would be here right now. I just want to say that I'm very thankful and grateful for each one of you. Now we have our congregational song. Let's sing all together.
All right, Soul Center. Take it everywhere, all the way.
Our reading this morning is from Your Faith is Your Fortune by Neville. So everything in this world is a crystallization of liquid light. I am the light of the world. Your awareness of being is the liquid light of the world which crystallizes into the conceptions you have of yourself. Your conditioned awareness of being first conceived itself in liquid light, which is the initial velocity of the universe. All things from the highest to the lowest vibrations or expressions of life are nothing more than different vibrations of velocities of this initial velocity. Gold, silver, iron, wood, flesh, etc. are only different expressions or velocities of this one substance, liquid light. All things are crystallized liquid light. The differentiation or infinity of expression is caused by the conceiver's desire to know themselves. Your conception of yourself automatically determines the velocity necessary to express that which you have conceived yourself to be. The world is an ocean of liquid light in countless different states of crystallization. Let us turn within and pray. So I'm just grateful for that reading and that awareness that we are the light of the world. I'm just so grateful for this day and grateful for this moment to be here fully present in this divine awareness that God is all that there is, one power, one presence, one divine intelligence of love and beauty and joy and harmony. And we are that which God is. We are the love, the joy, the beauty, the harmony that expresses. We are the embodiment of all that which God is. We are the very life of God, living the love and the joy and the peace and the abundance that is already in the universe. So I bless our time together. I bless this service. I bless this day. I bless all who are here, hearing this message of oneness, of love. And I know that something wonderful is happening, and I bless it, and I call it good. So I simply say thank you and allow it to be so, and so it is.
So it is.
Amen. Amen. Now it is time for our agape affirmations. You go ahead and please rise. You'll find them in your program and coming up on the screen. I'll speak a line and then we'll all repeat them aloud together with sincerity and acceptance. The evidence of God is everywhere in my life.
The evidence of God is everywhere in my life.
My unlimited potential meets every demand in new and expanded ways.
My unlimited potential meets every demand in new and expanded ways.
Wholeness is the activity of my consciousness and the natural expression of my being.
Wholeness is the activity of my consciousness and the natural expression of my being.
The creative genius of the universe expresses through me. I am an artist of the soul.
The creative genius of the universe expresses through me. I am an artist of the soul.
This word is the law of my life lived in God.
This word is the law of my life lived in God.
Gratefully I let it be.
Gratefully I let it be.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Amen.
Amen.
You may now be seated. And for those of you who would like some affirmative prayer after the service, please join those with the blue shawls out on the patio. Thank you.
No, see it, that dream I'm dreaming, but there's a voice inside my head saying you'll never reach it. Every step I'm taking, every move makes me feel I'm lost in no direction. My faith is shaken, but
Center, we have the best, and the proof is right here. And of course, that best is also over here, it's right. Oh, thank you. Good morning, Soul Center. Are you ready to rock and soul? Yes. Are you ready to go to the next level of goodness? Yes. Are you ready to surrender? Yes. You know what you're surrendering to? No. I got to the palm of my hands. Are you ready to give me all your money? No. Surrender. Surrender is part of the human experience. That's what we come here to do. Some people don't know that. Some people are actually going through life accumulating things that they're going to have to surrender later, oftentimes painfully. And some of us have gotten the good news, the gospel. We've heard that life is a fun adventure. We came here to play and pray. And we remember that play and pray are on the same vibrational frequency. We came here to have a good time. We don't always have a good time, but we came here to have a good time. And if you, when you're in that time where there are no disasters, there are no crises, if you can allow yourself to participate in the theme of the month, which is living unbounded and wholly free, which means in the good times, you're going to cultivate, you're going to dig around and allow yourself to practice the presence of your soul, of your true identity, and apply it, as the topic of today would reflect, divine conceptivity, setting a holy precedence. What does that mean? Well, if you put in divine conceptivity, you're not going to find anything, because it came to me, and conceptivity is actually not even an actual word. Conceptual is a word, concept is a word, but it came to me that conceptivity, when you take a divine idea and you make it active, you have conceptivity, like activity and concept coming together. You take a divine idea and you allow it to conceptualize itself or practice conceptivity. That's what we came here to do. Now, most of you know, I think I'm seeing pretty much, I don't know if is there anybody new here today for the very first time? Well, welcome. And for those of you who are streaming in live, if you're streaming in live for the very first time, I just want to welcome you. We are Soul Center. We are part of the Agape International Spiritual Center as an affiliate here in Newport Beach. And what does that mean? We are part of the New Thought Ageless Wisdom Teachings. The New Thought teachings started several hundred years ago in terms of a movement. And that movement was taking from spirituality, or taking from religiosity, the spiritual concepts, the truths, the golden thread that is woven through all of the teachings of all of the religions at the mystical sect, at the highest point of wisdom, and bringing that into practical application. When the master teacher, Jesus the Christ, said, "These and greater things ye shall do," he was talking about conceptivity. He was talking about the embodiment of truth teachings. He was a teacher of Judaism. He was a rabbi. Remember, there was no Christianity when Jesus was around. That came 350 years after his passing, his rising into magnificence. The idea that he was bringing forward, the teachings that are taught in the Torah, that were then translated over and brought into the Christian Bible, into Christian scripture, they're all bringing the same ideas in new way and in new vernacular. Because every so often, hundreds and if not thousands of years, as we evolve, we have different ways of being in the world. We have different idiomatic expressions. There are different things expressing, which means that if you speak to me in the tongue of somebody, especially if it was translated from a different language from thousands of years ago, and you think that I'm going to understand the idiomatic expressions from 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago, you're probably, we know, all of us have had that experience. Remember, when you were young, you were a teenager, and you had the words that you used, whether it was cool or groovy or bad or hip or sick or tired, whatever it is, all of it. So a lot of the kids today, they don't understand if you say, oh, that's groovy. They'd be like, oh, like, okay, whatever, Gen X, whatever you are. They don't understand some of the vernacular that we used back in our day. So how are we to understand the vernacular that was used thousands of years ago? So as mystical teachers, our job is to take those truth teachings and translate them into a contemporary way so that we can all relate to it. When the divine is relatable to you, you will then all of a sudden be able to prioritize or set a precedent. Now, part of what we want to do as we're moving into and remembering that we came here to remember who we truly are. Every tradition around the globe is going to take you on a path to wholeness, again, in the mystical aspect of it, and you're going to find out what it means that you're born in the image and likeness of God. What that looks like, feels like, smells like, tastes like, as a personal experience in your life. Our community is not about wallflowers. It's not about bystanders just sitting on the side watching all the things. It's not about spectator sports where we just show up on the high holidays and dip our toes in and then go back to a way of living. We want to set a holy precedence. A precedence means that you are allowing yourself to set a priority. The difference between a precedent and a precedence is that a precedent, like we've heard a lot in the news lately, oh my God, there's no precedent for that. That means that something you're using to look at as that's the way it is, and so that's the way it should be. And we want to move into a holy precedent of our true being. A precedence is something that you make a priority. We want to make our human evolution into our spiritual magnificence a priority. Whatever you make important, whatever you set as a priority, you're going to get done. We've all heard the expression, where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a divine will, there's a holy way. We want to make sure that it is not by my will things get done, but it is by thy will things get done. And thy will, God's will, as you will, is your will. Your soul's will and God's will are synonymous with each other. God's will as your life is your soul's will, and your soul's will only is seeking to beget joy through you. Only it's seeking to beget goodness through you. The universe, the divine, is omniamorous, all-loving, omnipresent, omnipotent, in every space, all-powerful, all-knowing, and only operates from singularity or oneness. There is no duality in the divine. Oftentimes, whether it's in the Bhagavad Gita, the Hebrew Bible, Christian Bible, the Quran, the Tao Te Ching, or any of the other sacred texts around the world, you're going to hear singularity described with dualistic language. When we are in the world of effects and the human experience, we are here to experience contrast. Contrast, by default, is going to bring about dualistic experiences or dualistic expressions, hot and cold and up and down and good and bad. Those are all subject to the definition that you have within your beingness. We came here to experience singularity or oneness in duality. It's kind of paradoxical, but that's the very definition of being in the world but not of the world. To be in the world but not of the world means you are going to let go. You're going to, in order to let go and let God, you have to move into divine conceptivity, grabbing a concept such as, I am born in the image and likeness of God. Therefore, I am not a man or a woman or my age or my gender. I am not my race, my nationality, my zip code. I'm not my area code or any of the other titles, labels, or diplomas that I've gathered along the way. All of those things are wonderful and good, but your true nature and where your power is, where your strength is, where your desires reside is within your soul, within the essence of your divinity. And to make sure that we are looking for that in our lives. So we are going to set a priority that we are going to change any precedence that does not work out for our highest good, which means we're going to always be asking the questions such as, what is the highest expression of this relationship? What is the highest expression of this situation? What is the highest expression of radiant wellness in my body temple? I remember years ago I was sitting in meditation, and most of us, we make a priority on the thing, my relationship, that they are the type of person that I like, that the house is the way it ought to be. We set a precedence, or we set a priority based on egoic wants, which cater to the suppressed ideas of victimization oftentimes. What does that mean? It means that, for example, in my life, I didn't let people get close to me because I had suppressed ideas that if I let people get close to me, then they're going to hurt me because I had been hurt by people that got close to me. So then I let them, keep them at arm's length. I did not know that that was going on in my life when I got up into my 30s, and I realized, why does it feel like there's something missing? There's something, I'm not feeling the intimacy and the closeness that I'd like to with friendships. I started seeing out in the world where there were people having relationships that were sincere and deep and profound and loving and kind and generous. You know, like sometimes they refer to as, you're my person. You know, from, was it Grey's Anatomy? You're my person. My person is the person who's there through thick and through thin, who will never fail me, who will never forsake me. They're always going to be there. They'll listen to me in the good times and the bad, kind of what a spouse is supposed to be, for good or for bad, for better or for worse. That's that person that's supposed to be there for us. That's not limited to 1 or 2 or 3 people. That's the precedence of the holy divine. That precedence is all relationships are to be sacred and holy, and we are to cultivate that with everyone. So I was working on a project once where we had to, this was back when we were first doing our first renovation of our house. This was about 20 some years ago, and I was starting to move into my meditation practice and really getting very sincere about it. And I remember that I had goals, and it's like, we're going to do this. We had a plan. We're redoing the kitchen. We're redoing this. We're redoing that. And the importance was on the redoing of the house. There wasn't an importance on the relationship that I had with the individuals that were doing the work. I would be either upset or happy, depending on whether things were going well or not well. They weren't going well when there was delays and cost overruns, and they were going well when things were going smoother and more efficiently. But I remember sitting in meditation one morning, and I heard this voice, the voice of the soul, the voice of truth, that said, your priority is askew. You need to prioritize the relationships you have, for these are divine individuals born in the image and likeness of God. The work is not your priority. The relationship is your priority. To be in the world but not of the world is to have sacred, holy relationships, which means we're going to have to transcend the ideologies that, people have to be in their place. You're of this stature, or you're of this level, or you're of this way of being. If it's somebody who's serving you, you're serving me. So, there's that old precedence where you don't want to mix business and pleasure. You don't want to get involved with family members. What are all of those precedents built upon? They're built upon bad experiences. Somebody has a bad experience, then they go complain to somebody else about the bad experience, and then all of a sudden they're like, well, you know what, we need to do something to prevent those bad experiences from happening, so we're going to set up rules. That's why lawyers get paid thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of dollars to draw up contracts that have all kinds of rules and small print and caveats, and if this, then that, to hold people accountable in case they do something wrong. Wouldn't it be nice? Now, I know we've got some lawyers in the mix. I'm not trying to put you out of business or anything, but wouldn't it be nice if everybody could just be held accountable to the truth, to reverence, to kindness, to respect, where you didn't need a big contract? Why do we have paper contracts? Because A, people forget what they say. They say, oh, sure, this is what we're agreeing to. And then 20 minutes later or 20 days later, they've forgotten all about it. And they're living from their own energy body, which is their trauma body gets involved. And then they forget things and they don't do things. But if we're in integrity 24/7 and cultivating, what's the importance here? What is it that I'm seeking to cultivate in relationships? As we move into that, what is the concept of this relationship that I'm sharing with anybody? And remembering that along the way, we're going to always, we live in a reflective universe. The universe is always reflecting back to us whatever it is that we need to know in order to grow. And what does grow mean? Grow means, scientifically, your energy body is a vibrational field. As I was talking about in the reading about the liquid light. The liquid light is talking to the fluidity of life and how it comes into form. Those of you who are familiar with Dr. Emisaro Emoto's work on water crystallization, how you can take the water crystals and water crystals that were talked to in loving or played loving music in high vibrational frequencies, when they were then frozen and put under the electromagnetic microscope, you'd see these beautiful patterns of just absolute magnificence. The ones that were yelled at and treated with anger and resentment and nasty words, they looked like they were crippled and crumbling and collapsing upon themselves, and they weren't as beautiful. So we know, as we're talking about that liquid fluidity, that liquid light, you're talking about it within your own energy field. You have a fluidity of energy. You have your physical, emotional, and mental bodies. You have your karmic body. All of that, the karmic body is just simply a database of all the choices that you ever made, all of which are going to be reconciled at some point, either willingly or not. And so we're going to have to, what do they say? When the roosters come, when the chickens come back to roost, everything's going to come back into, because there's a divine inertia that is pulling us into wholeness. So we want to make sure that we become deliberate in our off time, which means when nothing's necessarily going bad, nothing's necessarily amazing, whatever it is, when you have your time, you want to make a priority to make time to cultivate goodness, to cultivate. Now, one of the biggest things that we experience in our spiritual journey, people are going to be your biggest growth edge. People, whether it's family members or friends, I can tell you, I used to be the president of the club that was just avoid. It was Avoiders Anonymous. You would just basically, oh, you rub me the wrong way, I'll avoid you. Oh, you rub me the wrong way, I'll avoid you. And then all of a sudden you're going to notice after a little while, you're going to start to feel a little lonely, or you're going to have relationships that aren't very rich, aren't very deep, or not very sincere. And we've all heard the expression like, well, what's the common denominator? And when I looked at the common denominator, which was me, I was like, well, what is it? What is the precedence that I would like to set in my life? So I made it a priority, and then I started to pray dream about it. Pray dreaming is a little bit different than daydreaming. Pray dreaming is you take the idea, this is part of divine conceptivity, you take the idea and then you breathe life into it. How am I going to participate in deep, loving, meaningful relationships? It means I'm going to allow myself to be overwhelmed with compassion. We know in our teachings, and it is this the absolute truth, that God, many religions, many traditions around the world, put it as an energy outside of us. We know we are one with this. We are in oneness and oneness with the divine. And therefore, all that God is indwells within us to the degree that we access it. Our job in free will and free choice is to access that. We access that when we move into the observer, the witness, in our meditation and our prayer, and we allow ourselves to observe what's going on so that we can come up with what is the divine idea. Compassion is the road of enlightenment. When I have compassion for myself and compassion for others. People are going to be the ones in life, they're the ones that trigger us the most. You're going to find out what you know and what you believe based on what reflects back to you from everything and everyone. Now there is life itself. Those who practice being the monk on the mount, which is a way of avoiding the world. People who want to just move out and live on the mountaintop so that nothing triggers them out in the world. When I'm in the city, people trigger me, and oh my God, and that person annoys me, and that person took my parking space, and oh my God, did you see how they cut me off? And you get all annoyed and triggered, so I'm going to go live somewhere quiet where nobody will disturb me. Then life's going to start to disturb you. Life is going to, because there's a divine inertia that's going to say, and not life is disturbing you, it's basically your disturbances will disturb you, because the divine inertia says anything that you are holding on to, an erroneous idea, an erroneous concept about anything and anyone, including yourself, about life that is not congruent with truth, will be shaken up and relinquished. That's what divine inertia does. It pulls you back into wholeness. And you've heard me say it before, you can either do it kicking and screaming, or you can do what we said at the top of this talk. You can surrender. You can surrender your ideas. Now, what kept me when I had the workers working on the house that first go around from a smoother experience was I had these concepts that this is the trick that the ego is going to play on you. The ego, which is just simply my ignoring of how I feel about something at a core level, how I feel about something, the ego is going to try to convince you that whatever's going on now, and however you feel about it now, is what's going on. 90% of the time, if not 99.9% of the time, however you feel about something that's going on now has to do with something that was going on 10, 20, 30 years ago, or even a lifetime ago. Oftentimes, you can notice this when you have a disproportionate reaction to what's going on. You're just sitting there going about your life, you didn't even notice that you slowly dipped down into a kind of a grumpy mood. You were allowing yourself to kind of spin down into some negative energy. Maybe somebody gave you a stink eye over here. Maybe somebody cut you off over there. And you started the morning thinking, oh, it's all going to be good. Okay, and that kind of did a little ding. And I went from a 10 down to a 9. Then now I'm down to an 8. Now I'm down. And then all of a sudden, I'm down at a 5 on a half a tank of spiritual energy. And somebody says, oh, you look interesting today. And then you snap. And they just said, I'm the ugliest, stupidest person on the whole planet, and you're having a reaction that's disproportionate to what they said. That's a big clue that something's going on in the subconscious that needs to be up-leveled and uplifted. So as I was working with these contractors and workers and things, I switched it around and I said, I am going to set a precedence and a priority through intention that I'm going to have sacred, holy relationships. And I noticed that there were some areas where I felt victimized. And it's like, how am I going to transcend victimization? There is nothing against us in the divine. But if you look out into the world, you're going to probably see things that really might convince you that things are against things out there. You might look at the war in Russia, Ukraine, and say, well, there's something against something out there. They're against each other. You might look at the Middle East, something's against something. You might look at the political scene and go, oh, these two parties, there's something against. We don't want to get into the polarization of againstness and victimization. We are saying yes to moving into a precedence of I am seeking the best in everything, in everyone, all the time. Some people say that that's an airy-fairy way of putting on your Pollyanna glasses and thinking that I'm just going to pretend. When you do the fake it till you make it routine, which there's actually a place in the fake it till you make it. But when you make that your only way of doing things, I'll just fake it till I make it, I'm just going to keep a stiff upper lip, then you're setting yourself up if I don't cultivate. Now, if I do a fake it till I make it, and then I'm like, oh, I'm faking it till I make it. Oh, yeah. You know, you're in a setting, somebody says something to you in a spiritual community, and you really want to just go, oh, yeah, but you're like, oh, there's people watching. I've got to be calm and cool and collected. And, oh, okay. So I'm just going to fake it till I make it. But then when you leave and you go home and you reflect, this is the spiritual practice of reflection. reflexation. Reflection. You're gonna, oh, earlier, what was that hitting on? Oh my God, that was hitting on my self-esteem. I was the king of low self-esteem. If you knew me 25 years ago, you'd be like, whoa, look at this. This is two radically different people. And that is because I used to allow my worthiness issues to set a precedence, which is why I would ignore, oh, I'm going to ignore, avoid. I'm just going to go over here in my little corner. I definitely was one of the monk on the mount people. I was like, oh, I'm going to go live on the mountaintop somewhere, and I'm just going to spend all my time with God. God is here, everywhere. In every person you meet, the divine is there. And when you can namaste everybody, the divine in me sees the divine in you, not as a cute little saying, not as a t-shirt, namaste in bed, whatever it may be. We want to make sure that we are embodying it in our bones and in our core. As a matter of fact, Reverend Michael years ago, when certain politicians were irritating certain people, which seems to be still going on, probably is going to go on in the temporal world for quite some time. As a spiritual community, we don't get involved in politics. Doesn't mean we don't vote. As a matter of fact, we should all vote. But we don't get involved in thinking they're against them and they have these things and they've got that agenda. We hold the high watch. What is the greatest good? There's always a win-win. Now, of course, a lot of people have opinions. A lot of people want to pontificate about this and that and, oh, where is the trend? But most people are reading temporal energy. Beware! You remember that movie, Bruce Almighty? And he's like, show me a sign. And then all these signs are literally calling him, stop, don't go, da, da. And he's like, and he's just not paying attention. We want to make sure that we don't get stuck in our stuff to the degree that we don't listen, remembering when we're asking for a sign, it is not the universe that is going to send a sign. You will send a sign to yourself. The universe is not outside of us. The truth within you will guide you. The truth that you are one with the divine will bring you forward. A lot of people are like, oh, it's 111, it's 111, that's a sign, it's 444. Now, I'm not saying anything's bad with that. But what I'm saying is, it's not outside of you. It's kind of like if you were to tie a little ribbon around your finger to remind you of something, or set an alarm to remind you of something, you're sending yourself your own message. Oftentimes when people are looking for signs that are coming from the divine outside of me, what they're really looking for is they need to know that there is a God. They feel separate from it, and maybe if you send me a sign, God outside of me, then I'll know that there is a God. So as we become aware that the presence of the divine indwells within you and as you, and as we remember the 4 stages of evolutionary consciousness as written by Reverend Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith, the first stage of consciousness, the lowest vibrational stage, is victimization. I'm being victimized by the world, and I'm going to react, and I'm going to go into a defense in my life. I'm going to do this. It's kind of like, that first person that went to France and somebody was rude to them, and then they came back and said, oh, the French are so rude. And then I said, oh, they are? Oh, my God. And then I adopt that, and then I go to France, and then they're rude, and oh, my God. And then we spread the rumors, and it spreads like wildfire, and then people start having the experience when it's not true. We want to make sure that we behold and remember that a belief is an idea or a thought that has taken up real estate in your mind. What does that mean? A belief is of the ego. It's of the temporal world. You get to believe this or that. It is up to you. That is different than knowingness. When an idea or a thought takes up real estate in your mind, it turns into a belief. So if I take an idea, here's an idea, French people are rude, or whatever it may be, and then all of a sudden I let that become a belief, now it has taken up residence, and it has tied me to space and time. I do not want to be tied to space and time. If I am tied to space and time through my trauma body, then I cannot be in the world but not of the world as an experience. The paradox is, Your wholeness and your allness is with you everywhere you go all the time. The ability to feel, see, hear, know, and understand the absolute truth is within you. You do not have to study it. You do not have to go to some deep mystery school, although it does help. But you have it within you. If you have the volition within you to practice, it's kind of like the difference between the person who just works out, they go to the gym and they do their stuff, they know what to do, and the person who needs a trainer. And if they don't have their trainer, they won't do the work. Oh, I can't work out today because my trainer's not available. Well, what do you mean? The gym's still there, the equipment's still there, you've been doing it for 2 years, surely you've picked up something. You must know what to do. I don't think you need a trainer to sit there while you're on the treadmill, or whatever it may be that you are doing. That's what and there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, trainers are good, and that is why we lean into our spiritual practitioners. We lean into ministers and chaplains and people who can hold us where we need to be held. But in the ideal sense, you're going to hire that trainer, you're going to learn what you need to do, and then you're going to be able to do it on your own. And then when you get to the next level of growth, you might lean into another trainer of some sort and get the training and move into the next level of growth. And then you're going to rinse and repeat and keep escalating up the ascension ladder of enlightenment. You're not going to stay in the status quo of where you are on a regular basis, complaining about the same old thing all the time. I don't know if you've ever been to a dinner party where all of a sudden it's like they start talking about that same thing that they've been talking about for the last 20 years. Like, oh, remember back, it's kind of under the guise of reminiscing, but it's really complaining. It's really like regurgitating how I've been wronged in the past. And I just want to share that again, because I'm just going to stay in this vibration. That would be kind of like taking a bath and then getting back in the same dirty water over and over and over again. You want to clean the water and clean yourself, and make sure that you're practicing and understanding the concept of transmutation. Transmutation with grace will liberate you, and there's a passage from A Course in Miracles that says, no one accepts atonement, which is also synonymous with healing, except he who accepts sin as their goal. Meaning, I'm not going to experience healing or atonement or transformation if I keep accepting the mistake as my goal. If my goal is that I'm going to just be victimized by the world of effects and I'm not going to allow for transmutation to take place, then I can just expect the same thing to happen over and over again. The kind of the not good news here is if you don't heal something, oftentimes it grows in its volume. It gets bigger and louder as things go on. Not because the universe punishes, it's because it would be just kind of like if I was going out and I was, going to go to the beach and I'm doing the beach cleanup and I'm going to pick up trash. And I go out and I'm picking up trash, and then I just keep the trash bag with me and I keep picking up trash and keep picking up trash, and I'm just going to take it with me everywhere I go. Look at all this trash. The trash could be our issues, and the bag's going to just get bigger and fuller, and then eventually you're going to be like, oh my God, look at all this trash I've been picking up. And you're going to pull this big heavy bag of trash. We want to make sure that we take our issues and we're going to transmute them. I'll use the recycling analogy. We're going to recycle them back into a useful purpose, not as something that weights us down. We want to make sure that we subscribe to the idea as we allow ourselves to move into divine conceptivity to pick an idea. Pick an ideal of an idea and allow that to be a concept that you will allow to liberate you into a greater experience. So one of the ways that can look is, how would you like people to know you? How would you like to know yourself? Have you ever contemplated or had the idea or conceived of the idea that I am choosing to be someone who's fearless? I am choosing to be someone who is compassionately, deeply, purely compassionate. I'm choosing to be someone that is absolutely embodying the ideals of prosperity, that I know God's my supply, so no matter what I pay out into the world, I know it just comes back. My old boss, who was not necessarily, this is going back 20 so years ago, ran a corporation, a multi-millionaire. He was not aware of the spiritual principles, but he was using them nonetheless. One of the spiritual principles that he used over and over is, I am so wealthy. No matter what I do, it's always successful. And it's like everywhere I go. If I go to Vegas, I win. If I invest in this, I win. If I do this in my business, I win. No matter what I do. He was just kept affirming over and over, and he had a belief that was working to his advantage. Now, what he didn't have was generosity of spirit, and so that led a lot of people, because he did things that were sometimes out of integrity, to be very upset with him. So you can have these contrasting ideologies going on, where it's like, some people are like, well, why do good things happen to bad people? And why do bad things happen to good people? Because of what you believe. So if I believe that I can let my trauma body run the show over here, but I can activate a principle over here, then I'm going to have those two opposing frequencies alive within my own energy field. That happens all the time, but often to lesser degrees. When you look out into the world of diagnosis and prognosis, when we look out and we see things like ADHD and ADD and all of these different labels and acronyms for all these different experiences, what is the key difference? The key difference is most people have, to some degree, unless you are communing with God 24/7 and you are in a ceaseless state of enlightenment, then you have some form of ADD. We usually don't give out labels, but just to make a point, that means attention deficit disorder means I'm not paying attention to something I ought to be paying attention to. So if I am clearly awake and open, then that's not going to be the case. But what's the differentiating factor before you get the diagnosis? It has to be extreme. It has to be so out of the range of norm that now, you're just over this range of norm, now you get the label or the title. But there's no difference between the person who has the label and the title and the person who doesn't have the label or the title, who gets a little distracted from time to time. The difference is just the degree to which you experience it, and the intention is going to be the same. I'm choosing to be someone who allows myself to be inspired on a regular basis. What does ceaseless inspiration look like in my life? You came here to personify the divine in all relationships, all situations, and all circumstances. And you're going to remember what our founder, one of the founders of our movement, said, that divine intelligence is going to evolve our concept of the divine as we involve it. We will evolve to the degree that we involve the higher energies that bring us into our divine nature. So that's what we're going to say yes to. Yes?
Yes.
Each one of us is saying yes to healing, growing, and expanding in benevolent, brilliant, dynamic, profound, glorious, inspired ways. Yes?
Yes.
Each one of us is going to clean out the subconscious in a glorious way, meaning we're going to get rid of any ideas, any beliefs that show up as situations and circumstances that are not for our highest good. We're going to clean house in benevolent, glorious, and beautiful ways. Yes?
Yes.
All right, cool.
Yes.
Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to apply divine conceptivity into our regular daily life. We're going to bring that even more, which is why I'm assuming most of you will stay for the State of the Center, which we're doing right after our service, because you're going to get a little bit of the nuts and bolts of the history of the New Thought movement, the history of Soul Center, where we are, where we're headed, our new home, etc. So please stay for that if you can. And we're going to go from being busy bees to being BC. BC instead of busy is what we're moving to. BC. We're going to be and then see, and we grab what we see and we allow it to move out into the world, as opposed to being distracted and busy in the world. Yes?
Yes.
All right. So we're going to move through into our prayer right now. I'm going to invite you to actually hold a concept of something that you would like to embody. What is an energy, a quality that you would like to embody? Is it, let's say I had a fear of heights. I want to experience fearlessness in that regard. Now, let's say I'm having discord in a relationship. I want to experience the most beautiful, reverent, respectful relationship with so-and-so. Whatever it is, I'm going to invite you to hold. What is something that you would like to embody in your life? No excuses. No excuses. No influences from the trauma body. That's what we're healing. All right, as we hold into that, I'm going to invite you to join me as we move into the prayer field, which is omnipotent and omniactive. The prayer field is alive. It is life itself. It is the truth of God knowing itself everywhere. The truth shall set us free. We allow it to set us free by recognizing it. Wherever I am, good is, God is. There are always benevolent, brilliant opportunities waiting to lift me into a greater expression. And as I remember the truth, that the omniamorous nature of life of God Almighty that never punishes, never withholds, never condemns, we open to the holy light of the nourishing, flourishing, lavishing and loving energy that we call the universe, that we call God, whether we call it Jehovah or Yahweh, Elohim or Adonai or Allah. We open to that holy light and we remember that it only seeks to beget good. And we say yes to allowing that begetting of good to happen to, through, and as our beingness. We remember what it means that I am as thou art as I am. Where I am right now, not tomorrow, not yesterday. I didn't lose it. I don't have to find it. It is right here, the kingdom of heaven as my life. The perfect concept. I am allowing myself to conceive and achieve the highest, greatest, grandest vision and version. And as you hold into that concept right now of what it is you'd like to experience, what energy, what quality, we allow it in right now. I am allowing the highest, most brilliant, pure expression of the divine in this situation, in this circumstance, right here, right now. I allow it to be glorious, I allow it to be good, and I allow it to be now, and I allow it to be so. And we simply ground and accept our good, for we know the universe only operates benevolently, gloriously, magnificently. We allow it all to be good, we allow it all to be now, and we allow it all to be so by saying, and so I let it be.
And so I let it be.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Aho.
Aho.
Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Hotep.
Hotep.
And hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right. Now it is time for our ushers to come forward as part of our conscious giving and that which we call tithing, or the art of circulation. And as you are preparing your tithe, some of you are on our auto tithe program. If you're not and you'd like to be, you can certainly do that by going to soulcenteroc.com. And when you click on the give button, that'll prompt you if you want to do it on a regular basis. Some of you prefer to do it on just a as-I-go basis, whatever feels right and good to you. There are many ways you can give to our community. You can text the word GIVE to area code 669-342-2157. For those of you streaming in live right now, we invite you. We are so grateful. So many of you that stream in are participating members of our global community. Those of you, Charles in Africa, Michelle in Australia, those of you on the East Coast, Nicole, those of you, Tiffany in Dallas. Good to see all of you. I know you're streaming in live right now. We thank you all, and all of you who, especially after the pandemic and everything, really made it so that our community has stayed viable. Those are the different ways you can participate, and the baskets are going to come around for those of you who like to use cash. And if you have a blue butterfly, that means you're part of our auto tithe program. That's why you're putting that in the basket instead of a check or cash. They're going to go forward and circulate, and we're going to have Jimmy bless us some more.
Keith, that's amazing. I feel like you could have been an amazing rapper. Amazing breath work. You get like 10 paragraphs on one breath. Impressive. And the vernacular too. His lexicon is out of the world. This is a man who set the precedent. I'm gonna make a change for once in my life. feel real good. Gonna make a difference, gonna make it right. As I took up the collarboard, I feel the winter cold, the wind blowing my mind. I see the keys on the street, but I'm not to read. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their need? A summer disregard, some broken bottle time, and one man's soul. They follow the wind, but that's the wind you know. 'Cause they got no place to go. That's why I want you to know I'm standing with the man in the middle. I'm asking him to change his ways. No, that song could never be any clearer. If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make that change. Na 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 na. I'll be a victim of this kind of love. It's time that I realize there was someone, but I'm never too long. Who will be pretending that you're not alone? Who will leave this guy? Somebody's broken heart and lost that greed. They follow the pattern of the wind you see, 'cause they got no place to be. That's why I'm starting with me. I'm starting with the man in the middle. I'm asking him to change his ways. No, that's not gonna be any clearer. If you wanna make it work a better place, take a look at yourself and then make that. I'm starting with the man in the middle. I'm asking him to change his ways. No, that's not gonna be any clearer. If you wanna make it work a better place, take a look at yourself and then make that. I'm starting with the man in the middle. I'm asking him to change his ways. No, that's not gonna be any clearer. If you wanna make it work a better place, take a look at yourself and then make the change. You gotta get it right the time. You need to push out your mind, better man. Oh yeah, I'm asking him to change his ways. No, that's not gonna be any clearer. If you wanna make it work a better place, take a look at yourself and make that change. Na 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 na. It's gonna be real good, real good. Na 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 na. Make that change. Make that change.
Glory. Just a quick announcement for those of you streaming in live. We had a question that came on from the live streamers. For those of you who want to participate in the State of the Center, if you go to soulcenteroc.com, you'll find the Zoom link either on the front home page, where you see the event, or under the events. You can zoom in for all of our global community, and it's going to be starting in about 20 minutes or so. All right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to bless the offering by extending our heart, our prayers through our hands. Oh, we just take a moment in deep gratitude and deep plenitude that there is enough. There is more than enough for everything and everyone. As we recognize the omnipotence and presence of God, we hold into that light and know that we are the beloved in whom God is so pleased, born in the image and likeness. We are part of the overflowing benevolent abundance. And we have said yes to circulating and expanding that, whether it is prosperity or kindness, goodness or wellness, we say yes. Glory to greater glory. Grateful for all of this giving, circulation, and prosperity. We allow it to be good individually and collectively, claiming it as good by saying, and so it is.
So it is.
Amen.
Amen.
All right. Children.
Hi. We're here from the Enlightened Kids Village at the Soul Center. I'm here with Madison and Sadie. And today we learned about mindful eating. So we took the time to read a book called No Ordinary Apple. And we also ate apples together. And so do you want to tell them about how we took our time to slow down and eat mindfully?
So we observed like how we looked at it. We thought at first we thought it was like just like plain like red, but it was like had like specks. So it was like more like less ordinary, like more magical and like mystical.
Yeah. Good. Yes, there were so many colors, and also how it felt too in our hands, right? There were bumps and groups, and also we threw it and it made a swap sound in our hands. You want to talk about how it smelled to you?
It smelled like flowers and it tasted like the rain.
Rise for our closing song. If you'd like to sing along, the words are in your program.
Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our power, love runs all what we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my song of vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin
Oh, we let peace, love, joy, beauty, wellness, goodness in all of its glory have its way. The divine has us in every moment of every day. We say yes to divine conceptivity, having its way, revealing the truth, revealing its goodness by saying, and so I let it be. Amen.